There's a guy on YouTube. I don't know how I managed to stumble across it. The video had like 2,000 views. This is not anybody would know. But he was sat in his car, and I found it really fascinating because I don't know whether I should say this or not. But I found it fascinating because he exhibited certain like narcissistic delusions of grandeur in talking about what he wanted to become and what he wanted from his life. And it got me thinking that it's quite difficult to understand whether something you say or write down or are aiming for is a value, or if it's just based on like an inherent deep childhood born insecurity. Because if you'd asked me at 18 what my values were, I would have said £1 million, a Lamborghini. Like I would have defaulted to these things because those were the things that would have like, I don't know, scratched my like insecurities, right?
Yeah.
But as I attained those things and had more chance to reflect on what actually makes me feel good and fulfilled and complete, I would have said family, connection, health, two very different things, right?
Yeah.
One's cause-based, one is just an insecurity. So how do we know the difference?
And you don't, right? Because, you and it's always a horrible answer, isn't it? But maybe you had that aspiration when you were younger and you went with it because it's all you knew at the time. And then you learnt some, you became more wise and your values shifted slightly. And that's the thing. That's why I talk about doing sort of quite regular values check-ins, because depending on your life, stage and what you're doing, your circumstances, your values will change. My values transformed when I had children and, probably sort of flipped them upside down really. And that's okay. I could never have known that would be, I couldn't have prioritized my children before they were there anyway, and for example, you might not have been able to know that you would feel differently now. Back then at that age, you didn't have the capacity to do that. You hadn't had the life experience. So it's okay. There isn't this sense of, there is this right path. And if you get on it at 17, you'll be all right. The whole process is a learning process. So it's okay to change direction.